with that little background, we can begin after 3 classes the book of death. Now it was here in this great golden dawn, by her still sleeping husband lain, she gazed into her past as one about to die looks back upon the sunlit fields of life, where he too ran and sported with the rest, lifting his head above the huge dark stream, into whose depths he must forever plunge. He is already indicating, yes, shortly he will plunge into those mysterious dark depths. Shortly, it's going to happen. See, this was written in 1916, 1918, as I told you, in the Arya period, you see, this part. And the style is different than the style of Savitri, apart from this canto elsewhere, you see. Now it was here, this great golden dawn. Now that is the most mysterious thing. He is talking of the golden dawn. Savitri is waking up with the arrival of the golden dawn. And what is going to happen on that golden dawn? Her husband is going to die. In other words, the death of her husband is intimately connected with this golden dawn. There is something golden about this particular death. So although they look very contradictory, death occurring, and yet it is golden. So the poet is already implied, no, this is something very significant. This death is not an ordinary death. And that death, the day of that death has arrived, basically. Now, she says here, by a still sleeping husband lane she gazed. Savitri, her husband is in the bed, she gets up and she looks around. What? Looks back upon the sunlit face of life. Yes, in another few hours he will be there, and the whole past kind of moves across her vision quickly, and she surveys the entire past. But what kind of past? Sunlit past of they being together. Now, back upon the sunlit fields is a very important phrase, in the sense that, see, after all, they have been together, Satyavan and Savitri have been together just for a year. They were married last year and today he is going to die. So it is not look back upon the sunlit phase of life. It is not that duration of 1 year which she is seeing. After all, in the whole context, that is a very short duration. But what Savitri is seeing here in that gaze, when she gazed into her past, it is not this past of 1 year, but into her past, which have been going life after life. The whole panorama of her past lives, of they being together, of coming again and again together, all the past births of theirs, it is that which suddenly she is surveying, she is seeing. Now, this particular time, this particular occasion is going to be different than what had been earlier. Yes, they have been coming together, they have been separating and all that sort of a thing. But this time, it is not that which is going to happen. It is something which will be pertaining to the golden dawn. All the past lives for yuga, eons and eons, we have been living together. It is those lives which are now culminating into this great golden dawn. It is that which Savitri is seeing the moment she gets up on the fated day. On the fated her occult vision immediately opens out and sees the entire panorama of her birth. By her still sleeping husband lay she gazed into her past as one about to die looks back upon a sunlit face. She's talking about sunlit face. So it's not just 1 year. Where now, this of course, where he too ran spotted with the rest. He of course stands here for her husband, Satyavan. And now he is living the life here, human life all along. But in the stream of life, lifting his head above the huge dark stream of consciousness, he is trying to get up and see things. But now, at this moment, on his golden dawn, he will plunge into its depths, into the depths of that darkness. He will plunge into the depths of darkness. So she is seeing now, he is plunging into the night sky. In fact, that is what is emphasized here further. All she had been and done, she lived again. This is reinforcing these two lines. It is reinforcing these two lines, you see, basically. All she had been, it's not a question of 1 year. She is remembering their association, life after life. It has been going on. And she is there, in whose depths he must forever plunge. Must, that is important. It is not that he will plunge. In whose depths he will plunge forever. It's not that. He must plunge, which is important. It is the same thing what we have here in the end of the first canto itself. This was the day when Satyavan must die. This was the day when Satyavan must die. It is that must again is getting emphasized here. In whose depth he must forever plunge, he must die. Why? Because it is out of that something has to happen. Unless he goes and meets death, Savitri cannot conquer death. That is the golden dawn. If she has to conquer death, he must die. He has to die. He must plunge into that darkness. And therefore, all that was happening, life after life, she is recollecting at one. All she had been through the ages, all the yoga, all the realizations which she had, life after life, they flit across her vision suddenly. All she had been and done, she lived again. And now the poet is making it more specific in the present context of the story. Although he has given the description of her past lives here, so to say, the whole year, which means that this year is a significant year, is a symbolic year of the long association. Here is not the question of what we count as the earth going around the sun once. It's not that. It becomes symbolic in the sense that the whole lifespan which is there, through the ages, it is that which is quintessence in that whole year. It is caught in that one single year. The whole year, and therefore, all the yugas, all the eons, they are coming across it. The whole year in a swift and eddying race of memories swept through her and fled away into the irrecoverable past. So she is seeing the whole thing and they are again disappearing into the past. Savitri's past is there. She has to now meet past. She has to meet the past. All that thing is locked in the past. She has to recapture and make it bright as future. And therefore, then suddenly she rose. Again, it is not the physical Savitri who is getting up on that particular day. Of course, she is getting up on that particular day. But then suddenly she rose. Suddenly, in that sense, see, in that sense. And he is now telling you in the manner of a story, you see, narrative, you see. Then silently she rose and service done. Early morning, all the morning duties she has done. She has kindled the fire, she has kindled the yajna, she has put the ahutis, everything she has done here early morning, before even her husband gets up or somebody is around, you see. Then silently she rose and service done, bowed down to the great goddess simply carved by Satyavan upon a forest stone. The statue of the great goddess is sculpted by Satyavan himself. He is a sculptor and he has made a statue, you see. As I told you last time, in the Mahabharata story, original story of Savitri in the Mahabharata, he is described as the painter of horses. Satyavan is described as the painter of horses. Well, that is also symbolic, painter of horses. All the life powers he can control and depict and present. Horse stands for the life powers, life energy, you see. That is what we have got in the original story of Mahabharata. Here he is shown as a sculptor on a rock in the hermitage. He has carved the statue of Durga by Satyavan upon a forest stone. What prayer she breathed! Her soul and Durga knew. Nobody else would know, obviously. What she is asking for, only her soul knows and the goddess knows. Nobody else has any idea at all. What prayer she breathed, her soul and Durga knew. But of course, the poet also knows it. Obviously, the poet of course knows it, you see. Now, why Shaivendu has transformed the painter of horses into the sculptor of Durga. Painter of horses, life energy is in full movement in the cosmic field. He is now talking here of Durga. And the reference is specifically in the context of the fated death. In another 4 hours, 5 hours, he is going to die. He is going to die, you see. Durga is the goddess who gives protection. She not only vanquishes the enemy, but also gives protection. So what she breathed, her soul and Durga knew. She is praying for Durga's protection. She is praying for Durga's power to be with her for this particular event, which will be seen by her shortly, you see. That is the prayer she is offering immediately there. By Satyavan upon a forest stone. What prayer? So, in fact, Durga, as I told you, is a goddess who gives the protection. She is the one who defeats, vanquishes enemy. So it is in that context the mention of Durga is significant. As we have in the Mahabharata story, you see, on the battlefield, the two armies are standing face to face. On the one side, the Kaurava armies, on the other side, the Pandava armies. And the conchs are blown to begin the fight. That is how the Gita begins. The Gita begins. The conchs are Devadattam Dhananjaya, Panchajanyam Rishikesha. Sri Krishna himself blew the conch named Panchajanya. Arjuna blew the conch named Devadattam, given by God, you see. And the fight is about to start. The battle is about to begin. But at that moment, Arjuna succumbs to weakness and he gives up his bow and arrow. I'm sorry, I can't fight. He has succumbed to the weakness. And then, of course, he is lectured heavily by Krishna, etc., all that. And then finally, Arjuna recovers his earlier self, the Kshatriya self, and is now ready to fight. The battle is about to begin. At that point of time, Krishna tells him, yes, you are ready, but please first get down from the chariot and offer your prayers to Durga and then begin the fight. He tells him, first worship Durga here and then the fight will begin. It is she who will give the victory, not you, not me, she. He has to get down. It is that Durga which is here again. What prayer she breathed, her soul, and Durga knew. Perhaps she felt in the dense forest huge, the infinite mother watching over her child. Her child, that is Savitri herself, watched by the infinite mother. Aditi, infinite, without end. She is watching from above. Perhaps the shrouded voice spoke some still word. It is that infinite mother who is speaking to Savitri's soul. Savitri, don't worry. I am there with you. Go ahead. Get ready for the moment. She is telling her like that. Perhaps the shrouded voice, you see again here, V is capital V. The divine voice or the divine Shakti who is telling Savitri, get ready. So Savitri is now ready and she has to do a few kind of routine things, so to say. The story is moving forward. At last, she came to the pale mother queen. Satyavan will be shortly going to the forest for his daily work. And Savitri would not allow him to go unaccompanied without her. She must accompany him while he goes to the forest today. She must be with him. At last she came to the pale mother queen, pale old mother queen, that is Satyavan's mother. Mother queen is Satyavan's mother. She is not named in Shivandu Savitri, but her name in the Mahabharata story is Shaibya. Shaibya in the Mahabharata story, Shaibya. So Savitri approaches her mother-in-law, seeking permission to accompany her husband to the forest on that particular morning. She requests her. That is what I got here. At last she came to the pale mother queen, pale old lady, feeble, weak. But apart from that, she was a queen. Before they came to the forest, King Dumasena was the king of Shaibya land, of Shalva land, you see. But his enemies took advantage of his blindness and drove him out of the kingdom, and therefore he was staying in the forest. And naturally, she also accompanied him her young son, hardly a few years old at the time, Satyavan, also was in the forest with him. That is why she is pale. There is no kingdom. She is living in the hermitages now. She is weak, she is feeble physically, but also pale psychologically in terms of the circumstances of life. She has become feeble also, you see now. Therefore, pale mother, queen.